When the final whistle echoed around the Emirates, one undeniable truth settled over the stadium. Bayern Munich, the team that hadn't lost a single game in any competition this season, walked off quietly with their first defeat. And in the moment, Noni Madueke sprinted into the arms of his teammates after making it 2-1, followed by Gabriel Martinelli coolly slipping the ball past Manuel Neuer to seal a 3-1 win. The whole of Europe seemed to realize the same thing at once. Arsenal aren't contenders anymore. Right now, they're the best team on the continent. So what transformed a side once criticized for not being ready to win into a ruthless machine capable of handing an unbeaten Bavarian giant their first stumble of the season? Bayern came into the match with a clear plan. Joshua Kimmich dropping deep to dictate play, long diagonal passes, and total control. They kept 62% possession in the first half and equalized with a stunning 24-pass sequence finished by 17-year-old wonderkid Lennart Karl, easily the best goal of this year's Champions League so far. But that was as good as it got for them. Arsenal, even after losing Leandro Trossard to injury in the first half, even against Bayern's compact defensive structure, never lost their frightening sense of calm. They opened the scoring with one of their trademark set pieces, Bukayo Saka's delivery, Jurrien Timber's cushioned header into the far corner, his second goal from a corner this season. The second half was Arsenal in full flight. They raised the tempo, pushed higher, racked up corners, and pressed Bayern into submission. In the 69th minute, Declan Rice, now wearing the captain's armband after Saka came off, blocked a pass that sparked a lightning counter-attack. Ricardo Calafiori whipped the ball across the box. Noni Madueke burst in like a bullet and smashed it home first time. 7 minutes later, Gabriel Martinelli, just back from injury, latched onto a long ball, beat Neuer, who had rushed all the way out toward midfield, and gently lifted the ball into the empty net. 3-1. The Emirates shook. Bayern crumbled. This win didn't come from luck. It came from squad depth, the same depth people doubted last season. Madueke and Martinelli, two players coming off the bench, stepped in and immediately decided the match. Timber didn't just defend brilliantly, he was a real threat on set pieces. Declan Rice, tracked tightly by Konrad Laimer all night, still found the moment to spark the decisive goal. And Martin Odegaard, back from injury, instantly brought balance to the team. This is the best version of Arsenal, a team where anyone can change a game, a squad that can lose key players and still accelerate when it matters. Bayern arrived at the Emirates as the strongest team in Europe this season, unbeaten in all competitions, cruising at the top of the Bundesliga. But they walked away with their first loss, with Manuel Neuer making a costly error on the third goal, with their defense sliced apart by wave after wave of Arsenal attacks. Vincent Kompany has built a beautiful Bayern, but against Arsenal, that beauty suddenly looked fragile. They couldn't match the collective power, the relentless mentality that has seeped into every Arsenal player. Mikel Arteta summed it up perfectly after the match. I have to praise our players because I think they had an incredible match against, in my opinion, the best team in Europe, he said. Individually, we were immense to resolve all the challenges that these teams bring to the table. We've certainly been very consistent in the competition so far, but it's just the beginning. We are so pleased with what we've seen today. Declan Rice was even more direct. Look at Bayern Munich this season. They have been the best team in Europe. This was probably the toughest game tactically we have played this season. I thought tonight we were outstanding. These weren't empty words. Arsenal are top of the Premier League, perfect in the Champions League, and they've just torn apart the team many considered the best in Europe. Not with luck, but with dominant football and a mindset that refuses to settle for anything less than victory. This is no longer the Arsenal of promises and potential. This is Arsenal right now, the team forcing Europe to rethink what power truly looks like. They didn't just beat Bayern Munich. They sent a message across the continent. This season, no one can afford to underestimate the red and white from North London. Arsenal are the best team in Europe at this moment. No more doubts. As the lights at the Emirates still blazed and the last fans drifted out into the cold November night with warm hearts, everyone knew they had witnessed something bigger than a normal victory. They had seen the beginning of the end of a 22-year wait. Since the day Highbury closed its doors, since the Invincibles broke apart, since those quiet May nights watching other teams lift the trophy, Arsenal fans have learned to live with a familiar pain. The pain of almost, but not quite. And now, with Bayern Munich, the final symbol of this season's invincibility, collapsing on the Emirates turf, they finally have the right to believe their moment has arrived. For Mikel Arteta, this wasn't just 3 Champions League points, it was a permanent confirmation. The former benchwarmer under Arsene Wenger has become the truest heir to Arsenal's footballing identity. He's taken Hale End Academy boys and smart signings and turned them into a team that's not only strong, but beautiful to watch. He taught them how to lose so they could learn how to win. He taught them how to endure so they could rise again. He showed them that trophies aren't the destination, they're the natural result of doing everything right every single day. When Timber rose for that header, when Madueke sprinted into his celebration, when Martinelli lifted the ball over Neuer, Arteta stood there with a quiet smile, the smile of a man who knows he's rewriting history with his own hands. This victory was also a statement that beautiful football built on structure and unity, can still beat everything flashy and expensive around it. Arsenal don't have Haaland, they don't have Mbappe, they don't splash hundreds of millions every transfer window. What they have is Saka, raised in their own academy. They have Saliba, found at Saint-Étienne. They have Rice, a record signing who didn't break the dressing room but completed it. They have Madueke, they have Martinelli, players ready to come in and change a match in a heartbeat. They have a manager who believes true power comes from connection, from hunger, from every player being willing to fight for the man next to him. And that's exactly what made Bayern, a team built on world-class individuals, suddenly look ordinary. Up in the stands, fans who've been with Arsenal since the days of Thierry Henry and Patrick Vieira were in tears. Not because of the 3-1 scoreline, but because they realized this generation isn't just playing good football, they're playing for the badge, for the history, for everyone who has waited far too long. The Emirates erupted in a thunderous chorus of Sweet Caroline. This wasn't just a match anymore, it was the meeting point between past and future, between what Arsenal once were and what they're about to become. And if this season ends with a Premier League trophy, if Arsenal stay unbeaten in the Champions League, then this win over Bayern Munich will be remembered as the night Europe finally admitted that a new dynasty had arrived. A dynasty built on patience, on growing pains, on a club that learned how to rise from its own ashes to reclaim the throne with its own feet. The Emirates has waited too long to hear "We are the champions" echo through May. Arteta and his players are closer than ever, and they're finishing the mission. The whole world will soon have to accept that Arsenal aren't just the best team in Europe right now. They're the team that turned 22 years of hurt into unbreakable strength, that turned dreams into reality, and turned themselves into the living legends of a new era.